Good evening, sim racing fans across the globe, and welcome to LSRTV as we throw a green flag on our broadcast tonight of the Real Sim Racing RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, live from high atop the Monster Mile of Dover International Speedway. We welcome you inside the Inside Sim Racing Broadcast Tower, where you'll find myself, Jacob Seelman, alongside Justin Rosenau and Brian Macklin as we get ready to roll you through the Monster Mile 180 from the Dover International Speedway. Tonight's race benefiting Autism Speaks, and Justin getting set to kick things off, and we're ready to rock and roll.
We sure are. Several drivers quick in practice down on the 23.4 second bracket. Private qualifying underway here at the Monster Mile. Provisional pole going to go to the 14 of David Comstock, who I do believe won last week's race, and he's been on a tear in this series, winning 4 of the 12 or 13 races that have taken place thus far in the season, Jacob, and he certainly looks to be a guy that has to be reckoned for tonight.
Well, 3 for 13, but I mean, honestly, who's counting at this point besides me? Brian Macklin, you've driven in this series before. You're one who, I've always gotten mixed reviews from you about Dover International Speedway. What do you think of this place, and what do you expect we're going to see tonight?
As a hometown boy, you'd think I would love this racetrack, but I honestly can't say that I do. This is a very challenging racetrack. This is honestly probably the most difficult track on the entire schedule, just because of the way the banking is here, the way you roll up off the corners and there's that hump coming out of the corners. It really upsets the car as you exit the corner and come onto the straightaway. And it's a very mentally challenging track because you don't have a lot of time to prepare for anything. You're only on the straightaways for about 4 to 5 seconds, and then you're setting up for the corner. You have to try to figure out how to make the pass on the guy in front of you, and you also have to be able to defend a pass if somebody's trying to make a pass. And there's just so much that goes on, and it's such a tight racing track that you just don't have the capability of having time to think like you would when you go to Michigan, where you have 2.5 miles to do whatever you want. You have a lot of time to prepare. When you come here, you don't have that much time.
You really don't, and Justin, things happen in such a hurry here. We call this racetrack a self-cleaning racetrack because the banking is steep in the corners, and if you're at the top and you crash in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or even on the straightaways where there's 9 or 10 degrees of banking, you're headed down in a hurry. And number 1, it cleans it off real quick. Number 2, it also has the potential for disaster because you can block this track in a hurry as well.
Yeah, the front straightaway and the back straightaway, both of them are so narrow, in the neighborhood of about 55 to 65 feet wide, and for these cup cars, that's not a lot of room. So it's going to be a trouble spot, especially out of turn 4 and turn number 2. That's where the big junk could possibly happen, whether it be on restarts or just a great battle on the racetrack after a restart. So several choke points around this racetrack, and what goes up must come down on these high-banked racetracks, and that's certainly going to be self-evident tonight.
That is the laws of physics, isn't it? And we will talk about that, I guarantee you, much more as 180 laps roll onward here tonight. And again, glad you're with us. Looking at the provisional top 5 in qualifying right now. We mentioned David Comstock on the provisional pole as they sit. Pedro Mojica, last week's winner at the Michigan International Speedway, 4 1,000ths off in second. And it's another 4 1,000ths back to the guy who just locked up the RSR Outlaw Truck, or rather tried to lock up the RSR Outlaw Truck Series title, locked up a win in the series finale at the Chicagoland Speedway on Wednesday night this past. Jeff Ward, 8 1,000ths off the pole, 4 1,000ths back of Mojica in the 3rd spot. Greg Evans in the 23 Ward's teammate is 4th, and Mitch Rollo, that RCO Boomtown Sim team, rounding out the top 5. All 4 of those cars tonight going to be sporting brand new colors for the remainder of the season. Kind of an update to what they've been running with the sponsorship from Race Chaser Online and their assorted subsidiaries. Rollo's teammate Corbin Hemstreet right now sitting 6th, so some good speed out of those two. And looking a little further down the leaderboard, Justin, actually all 4 of the Boomtown drivers doing quite well, all 4 inside the top 12.
It's a great showing thus far, and they really need a strong run here at Dover to really turn the fortunes around of that team, as they've really been very troubled on the racetrack with drivers like Anthony DeBarro in the 9 car finding trouble at Pocono, and then again a week ago at the Michigan International Speedway. So these guys, they really need a strong run here tonight. And Jacob, these guys certainly primed to do it. They said Anthony looks to have a better long run car, but don't count out Mitch Rollo and Corbin Hemstreet, who's 5th and 6th in qualifying. Those drivers said that they have one heck of a stout short run car.
And it's one thing that we're going to keep watching throughout the course of the night. Who's good on the short run? Who's good on the long run? We're going to have comers. We're going to have goers. And as we continue, we've still got about 10 minutes in this qualifying session, and we'll bring you more of the action in just a moment. Going to quickly do about a minute or two of business, and then we'll be back from the Dover International Speedway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV as we are wrapping up qualifying from Dover International Speedway. Looks like basically everybody that's going to take a lap in Garry Mercer Trucking pole qualifying has done so. They still have a minute or two if they want to fiddle with anything, but it looks like just about done. And with that, we will go trackside for tonight's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Welcome back to LSRTV as we bring you back upstairs and conclude tonight's opening ceremonies. So getting ready to get it kicked off in just a couple of moments. And as we wrap up qualifying, time to take a look at tonight's gmercer.com starting lineup. And starting on the pole with a lap of 23.453 seconds, it's going to be the Monster Energy Chevrolet of David Comstock to his outside. Last week's winner, the 50 JDR Graphics Toyota Pedro Mojica.
Inside row number 2, you're going to find the number 89 Unical 76 Chevrolet of Jeff Ward, and starting outside of him, completing the second row in the 4th spot with a 23.495 second lap, the 23 Duck Brand Chevrolet. That's going to be Greg Evans.
Starting in row number 3 with the Race Chaser Online Chevrolet SS is the number 96 of Mitch Rollo, and to his outside, his teammate, Corbin Hemstreet. Also one of the Race Chaser drivers, he's in the number 69, starting 6th.
Steel Horse Racing flies in 7th with Dan Murray, the 5, and to his outside, the 16. A new number tonight for Harrison Weidelitz.
Inside row number 5, in the 9th spot, the number 13 Royal Speed Dynamics Ford Fusion of the points leader, Dwayne Vincent, and outside of him, the number 1 Snap-on Chevrolet. That's going to be Thomas George in 10th.
Starting in the 11th position, driving the Performance Motorsports Network Chevrolet SS, that's the number 87 of Christopher Hurlow, and to his outside, his Boomtown teammate, Anthony DeBarro, in the number 9.
13th and 14th, we find the 20 of Chad Coleman, and to his outside, the number 53, Nick Cohan.
Inside row number 8, the 15th spot, flying colors for the 11 of Jonathan Cadell. That's going to be Adam Benefield, and starting outside of him, going to be the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet of Kevin Linden.
In the 17th position, the Meatball Machine, Jose Gonzalez, and to his outside, Stefan Marinak in the number 24, Mach 1 Racing Graphics Chevrolet SS, starting 18th.
19th, going to be the 91 of Steve Gottschalk. Brennan Mercer rounds out the top 20. You'll see the rest of the starting grid scroll across your screen real quickly before we go green. Brian, what are you watching tonight?
Well, these guys were complaining that the setup is extremely loose, so they're really going to have to try to save that right rear tire. If they get a long green flag run, the person that is able to hold on to that and save rubber on that right rear tire is going to be the person we see leading this race after 20 or 30 laps, and probably the person that's going to win.
We're rolling into turns number 3 and 4 right now. The front row inhabited by Comstock and Mohica. We're glad you're with us here on LSRTV. And for the start of tonight's Monster Mile 180, here's LSRTV's own Justin Rosenau.
Pace car diving to pit road. Field now in the hands of the 14 of David Comstock as they roll slowly out of turn number 4. The American Ethanol green flag waves in the air. Comstock underway as they head off towards turn number 1.
Comstock away by 5 car lengths as the battle's on for second. The Unical Machine of Jeff Ward right to the bottom of the racetrack and takes it off turn 2 to move to the runner-up spot. Mohica back to 3rd. They're side by side for 7th behind the leaders.
Going to be the 5 of Dan Murray, the 16 of Harrison Weidelitz, and the 1 of Thomas George, all trading spots on the racetrack right now. The 5 of Dan Murray going to take that at the stripe, completing the 8th spot, and the 9th spot going to now go to the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, who gets around the 1 of Thomas George out of turn number 2. Everybody single file for about the first 25, 30 positions on the racetrack. Everybody just trying to settle in line and go single file and try to catch that 14 who's starting to run away already.
Everybody save for 1 off of turn number 4. Battle for the 14th position now over. Adam Benefield subbing tonight for Jonathan Cadell. Takes over position number 14 in that GTR Omega number 11 Toyota Camry. So move Benefield up inside the top 15 now. And he's going to work on the back deck lid of the Jack Links. Number 20 off Chad Coleman. That's going to be the battle for 13th as they work back to the start-finish line.
Battle heating up between teammates just in front of them. The 87 of Christopher Hurlow, the 9 of Anthony DeBarro. These guys starting to show each other's cars right now on the racetrack. The 9 of DeBarro running about a half lane lower on entry, and Hurlow drives it a little harder off the corner out of 2, and he pulls out about 2 car lengths over DeBarro as they get into 3.
As we continue to watch some of these battles, everybody's kind of settled out single file for the early stages. Nobody wanted to risk it too hard here in the early going, and Brian Macklin, I really like that. You know, you see David Comstock, who's out in front already by about 8 car lengths, but everybody doesn't want to, A, show their cards too soon, or B, get involved in something not of their own making here as we watch Benefield in the 11 take over 13th.
Yeah, well, this is a 180-lap race, so they have plenty of time to make their moves and try to get to the front. So, like you said, there is absolutely no reason. And we have a caution on the racetrack right now. It looks like the Jimmy North machine, the number 84, is around in turns number 4.
Yeah, Jimmy North going around off the exit of turn number 4, and that will put us under caution for the first time tonight with 5 of 180 laps complete. We'll be back with more after this from the Monster Mile Dover International Speedway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building two tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Truex in the outside, contact made, 56 slides it at a 4, who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back to LSRTV, working under caution, getting ready to complete 9 laps, and going to get the 1 to go signal from the flag stand this time from Dover International Speedway, the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series Monster Mile 180, as David Comstock has been out in front of all 9 laps that we have run so far. And as a reminder, before we go back green, the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series is powered by Garry Mercer Trucking. Garry Mercer Trucking has been providing reliable logistical services since 1982, their specialty being in over-the-road, less-than-load, and full truckload freight services between Ontario, Canada, and the good old United States of America. You can count on their team of trusted professionals at either their Mississauga or Rancho Cucamonga locations to take care of your warehousing and logistics needs from beginning to end. Garry Mercer Trucking, the experience and expertise that your freight deserves, and proud sponsor of Real Sim Racing. Doubling up half a lap from green, Justin Rosenau, David Comstock, and now Jeff Ward going to be on the front row. We're going to dice it up and get ready to go back under the American Ethanol green flag, and these are 2 of the best in the business.
2 of the best. You got the leading winner in the Full Throttle Cup Series in Comstock, and the guy that's been on a tear in all 3 series and about to lock up the Wednesday night crown in the Asphalt Assault Series, in Jeff Ward on the outside. Pace car now diving to pit road. Field now back in the hands once again of David Comstock as we get ready to fire him back off. The American Ethanol green flag waves in the air as David Comstock gets on the loud pedal, stands on the gas, and pulls out 3 car lengths at the stripe going towards 1.
And Jeff Ward did not get the best of restarts right there. In fact, he is going to be about swallowed up by the battle for third between his teammate Greg Evans, Pedro Mojica, sorts it out down the back stretch. Mojica takes over third in that Toyota, and he's going on the attack for second.
He's starting to get in the tire tracks of that Unical Chevrolet right in front of him. The 89 of Jeff Ward is the number 50 of Pedro Mojica, who did win last week at the Michigan International Speedway. And with authority, I might add, he played strategy to perfection as he's within one car length, but he's starting to come under attack now from the 23 of Greg Evans, who's starting to get right in his tire tracks now in 3 and 4.
That battle's going on, and it's a little bit dicey a little further back in the field as we scroll back through a couple of good battles trying to, I say sort themselves out, but maybe not quite so much. Christopher Hurlow in the 87 back there in 12th, Adam Benefiel in 13th, and knocking on the door, Brian Macklin, and that 11 car, if he could ever get through traffic, I think he's got some speed tonight.
Yeah, Adam Benefiel is an amazing driver, and this is the type of track that really plays right into his style. He likes to be able to save the tires and get a long green flag run going, and if he can get that tonight, I look for him to be moving up and be a contender for the win before the night is done. I know he's in here subbing for Jonathan Cadell, so for Jonathan, he's certainly going to enjoy having that advantage if Adam can get up there and win the race. Unfortunately, that doesn't put him in the chase because you do have to win the race as your own driver and not have a sub in, but it would still help him with the points and get him closer to being able to make the chase on points, so that's a big deal for him as well.
Exactly, and that's what Cadell's looking for. Of course, Adam Benefiel now basically a sub or a fill-in driver after withdrawing his full-time entry from the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. He's focusing, looking to go pro at the end of 2015, but glad to see him back in the driver's seat tonight as he has passed Christopher Hurlow in that Performance Motorsports Network Chevy SS to move into the 12th position with 15 laps complete. It's still been all David Comstock, and now we're starting to see that 87 of Hurlow fall back a little bit further, Justin Rosenau. He just lost another spot to the 53 Target Machine and Nick Cohan, and I'm hearing on the radio he is not exactly happy with his race car right now.
Yeah, driver complaining of a very loose condition off the corner, having to basically not even get into the throttle. You see, he almost gets into the turn 4 wall there on the front straightaway, yielding another spot to the 24 of Marinac and now the 26 of Jose Gonzalez. But folks, battle for the lead and a swap for the lead. Jeff Ward to the point, bringing Pedro Mojica with them, and now Greg Evans battling for third spot with the 14 of Comstock, who's starting to fade here in the early going.
Yeah, he is. We knew there would be comers and goers. Ward officially led lap 16 by 4 1/1000ths. Caution flag out for the second time tonight. Justin, the Service Master Clean Tracks are back. Trucks are back on the racetrack, and the 33 of David Lanza involved in it.
I see the 36 of Rich Jett also involved with that, along with, I do believe, the 72 of David Camara. Yeah, 33, David Lanza spinning down the racetrack, colliding, I do believe, with the 52 of Sean Casto, bringing out the Service Master Clean Caution for the second time tonight here on LSRTV, your voice of sim racing. And Jacob, man, it's tough luck for drivers like Sean Casto. He's known to go to the front here on the shorter tracks, especially tracks like Bristol, with a strong run for him in that 52 machine a few weeks back in Bristol. But here on the slightly larger concrete track here at the Dover mile here, the Monster Mile, finds himself in big trouble with heavy damage now on the right front of that machine.
Yeah, he does. I think officially that's going to be about a 3-car incident between Jett, Lanza, and the Casto machine. So a little bit unfortunate as we work under caution. Everybody basically having to park over there on the far end of the racetrack to wait and pick up the pace car here. So Jeff Ward out in front took the lead officially at lap number 16. And Brian Macklin, you actually saw the pass for the lead, and David Comstock, we're talking about everybody complaining about loose race cars. He got very loose when he lost the lead a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, he was coming off of turn 4, and it looked like he might have just got onto the apron just a little bit, and it upset the car, and he just started sliding up the track and really had to gather himself back up and just kind of let things happen there. And Jeff Ward was able to slide by, and unfortunately these guys were so tightly packed together up in the top 5 or 6 that he was going to have to give up a few positions. Unfortunately for him, the caution came out, so he didn't give up too many more, and now he can try to get some tires on there, and actually, yeah, he's on pit road and is going to try to get some fresh tires.
And a few takers on pit road, Justin. Not what I expected, but of course we're still early in this fuel run, and we're going to get a look at the replay here as well of this incident that's put us under caution for the second time between Lanza Jet and Casto. But, I expected a little more action here in the early going.
A little more action, but I got to say about half the field going to cycle through on pit road here. I believe actually 2/3 of tonight's 37 driver field here at the Monster Mile going to come down and get initial service made to their cars, making adjustments, taking tires and fuel on those cars as well. It's going to move drivers like the 23 of Greg Evans to the point as the 89 of Jeff Ward comes down after the fact, I do believe, possibly in making pit service on him. So Jeff Ward, tough luck for him, along with the 50 of Mojica. Kind of made a bad call staying out there as the pits were open there the last time by, and chose to stay out, and that's really going to cost him, putting him at the back of the pack.
So working under caution, Brian, and now we're going to see a little bit of a different leaderboard for the restart. I mean, different players. Greg Evans, who picked up a win earlier this season at, I believe, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, was when he got his win, and, I don't know what we're going to see. This is going to make life really interesting. And look at Boomtown, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now.
Yeah, those guys made a really good call staying out there and electing, or pitting, and then I guess getting the advantage of track position when everybody else pitted the next time by. I'm still a little confused as to what happened right there, but for Greg Evans, this is a pretty good call. He's got his win, he's locked into the chase, and he's a really good driver, and he was already up there, so this is a good opportunity for him to get the clean air and try to get away from these guys that have dominated the early stages of this race. David Comstock's going to be back in the 10th position, so he's got a lot of work to do. And then, of course, Jeff Ward and Pedro Mojica, they are mired way back in the pack, currently being scored 31st and 30th, so they have a lot of work to do to get back up there as well, as they are lined up. The lights are off on the pace car, and we're about to go back green.
About to go back green flag racing, and it is going to look like this. Greg Evans on the point alongside Corbin Hemstreet, Mitch Rollo, Anthony DeBarro in row number 2, Christopher Hurlow, Nick Silver in row number 3, as we get set to roll through turns 3 and 4 and back to the American Ethanol green flag. American made, American grown, powering NASCAR. If it's good enough for NASCAR, it's good enough for your car. And the American Ethanol green flag back in the air as we're rolling here at lap number 22. And on the jump, it is the Steel Horse Racing Machine of Greg Evans to the point, and Boomtown in lockstep. Corbin Hemstreet second, Mitch Rollo third, Anthony DeBarro fourth, and how about the guy back there in 7th, Justin, the 94 on the move, Eric Grundy's 31st to 7th.
Wheel to wheel with the 87 Hurlow, and he easily disposes of the 87 Performance Motorsports Network Chevrolet of Christopher Hurlow, and right behind them the 14 of David Comstock on the charge. Got front end damage on that machine after a little bit of a tangle trying to get around somebody the last couple laps. We'll try to see if we can get a replay for you in just a moment. And he's now up on the back decklet of the 22 of William Kemp, who also come down pit road that last time, taking just 2 tires instead of 4 on that Auto Trader Ford. Comstock now working to the inside of Kemp, now across the stripe.
And they lead back to turns 1 and 2, and we continue to watch what has been now a 4-car battle for the lead. And look at the guy on the back deck lid of Greg Evans, the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet came calling. He gave him a shot last time around, and it's chaos in turn 3, caution for the 3rd time at lap 24. The 26 is in it. Oh, Benefield's in it.
Gonzalez, the 11 of Benefield involved in that crash. Heavy contact for the 26, front and rear missing from that. Got balls. Puerto Rican meatball Chevrolet from the Wolfpack, and I'm telling you, Jacob, that's a hard lick for the driver, the number 26.
There's the damage to the 11 GTR machine of Adam Benefield. Again, subbing for Jonathan Cadell tonight. We thought he was going to be a contender. Unfortunately not. And Brian Macklin, we're going to get a look at the replay right here. And again, we talk about it. When chaos breaks out at Dover, there is nowhere to go.
Yeah, these guys are really lucky that was only a 2-car incident. That could have been a lot bigger, because that was in the 14th and 15th position when that happened, and these guys easily could have swept up half the field right there. So for it to be a 2-car accident, that is really impressive, and a good fortune for the guys that were behind it. And we do have some pit stops going on. The leader, Greg Evans, is on pit road along with David Comstock.
Yeah, the 23 machine is down on pit road, and Justin Rosenau, I believe you're looking down there and ready to see what we're going to do with that 23 machine.
23 of Greg Evans goes into his pit box, right side, going up on that machine. 2 fresh Goodyear Eagles being slept on the side of that machine. Jackman now around to the left side, puts the left side up in the air. 2 more Goodyear Eagles going on the side of that machine. Full tank of Sunoco race fuel. Down and away quickly for the driver, the number 23, as you see several other drivers make their pit stops. The 14 of Comstock also in to fix damage, heavy nose damage on that car.
From Dover International Speedway, this is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Welcome back, everybody, to LSRTV, the voice of sim racing for the Dover 180, benefiting Autism Speaks here at the Monster Mile. You got the Boomtown cars, the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet, the 96 of Mitch Rollo out front in front of the field after this latest caution flag for the 26 of Jose Gonzalez and the 11 of Adam Benefield subbing in for Jonathan Cadell in that ride. And we get ready to go green this next time by. Pace car going to come off the come onto pit road, allowing the field to go back green once again. And Jacob, it could be anybody's guess here as we see the former champ of Brundy's moving from 31st all the way now to 5th.
Yeah, Brundy's is coming, but in that same vein, so too has RCO Boomtown Sim, running 1, 2, 3 right now. Corbin Hemstreet, Mitch Rollo, Anthony DeBarro. The iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car leaves the racetrack, and the American Ethanol green flag working, waiting. Here we come to the line, and it's back in the air. How about the restart for Mitch Rollo? Takes the lead officially at lap 28, and he's got it by the time they get to turn 1.
Heck, he even got it to the stripe. That wasn't even a fair restart. Rollo got that thing in high gear soon in 69 at Corbin Hemstreet. Just spun the tires real hard on that restart there. Give about 3 car lengths now separating Rollo and Hemstreet as they get out of turn number 4. The 9 at DeBarro is starting to make that charge in third with the 4th place car in 94. Eric Brundy's all over the back deck lid of that machine as it's shaping up to be a battle for third as they get out of 2.
Down the back straightaway, battle for third is raging. Anthony DeBarro has it, trying to defend it. The 94 of Eric Brundy's wants it as they work through 3 and 4. Meanwhile, a little further back in the field, side by side, the 1 of Thomas George, the 16 Harrison Weidelitz, 10th and 11th.
The 16 of Wireless now clears the 22 of William Kemp, who got in the wall the last time by out of turn number 2. The 24 of Marinac now battling door-to-door with the 22 of Kemp on the high side, as the 24 of Marinac, who won the Outlaw Truck Series Points Championship last Wednesday night here on LSRTV, now puts himself solidly inside the top 11.
But up front right now, it's still all RCO Boomtown Sim. They continue to ride 1, 2, and 3. Rollo, Hemstreet, DeBarro in that order. The defending champ, Brundy's trying to chase him down. He's in P4 in that White Castle Ford, trying to close. He's knocking on the back deck lid of the 9 of DeBarro, off 4.
Pass a little bit further back in the pack. The 50 of Pedro Mojica gets around the 21 of Matt Lacrosse, and Mojica starts to work his way back up through the field after early pit stops, after a botched pit call leaving him at the back of the pack a couple restarts ago. Starts to set his sights now on the 15 of Scott Simley for the 16th spot just up ahead.
All right, Brian, so we'll see if we can't settle into a run this time. And who are you, or what are you, watching early in the race? I mean, we're not even to quarter distance just yet.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm really interested to see what is going to happen with David Comstock, Pedro Mojica, and Jeff Ward. All these guys kind of got a little off sequence, and they're way back in the pack right now. David Comstock has worked his way back up to the 19th position. Looks like Jeff Ward has moved up into the 24th position, and Pedro Mojica's in the 17th position. They need a long green flag run so they can try to make up some time here, and so far this seems to be what they're doing. They both, or all three of them, have worked their way up through. They started back around the 25th position. All three of them did on this last restart, so they're slowly marching back to the front. It's going to be really interesting to see how close they get there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as we continue to watch the march. We'll keep an eye on the march of Jeff Ward and Pedro Mojica as they work to fire their way back through the field. And as we run, currently 32 cars remain on the lead lap. And the parade right now, as it's been since lap 26, led by the 96 of Mitch Rollo. He's got a 1-car length lead, and here it's a 1-car length lead, no more. Corbin Hemstreet peeks to the inside as they work across the start-finish line. The battle for the lead in one. Hemstreet wants it, and the teammates are wheel to wheel.
Wheel to wheel out of turn number 2. The 96 of Rollo now fighting back on the high side, trying to keep the 69 of Hemstreet from going into the lead. But the 96 of Rollo does the smart thing, yields position to his teammate Hemstreet, and that allows the 9 of DeBarro, who made a diving run down into turn number 3 to get back around the 94 of Eric Brundy's in the 4 spot. The top 5, top 6 now all under a blanket as they get into 1.
How impressive has this team been, Justin? They've been knocking on the door, and tonight may be the party that they've been waiting for, continuing to ride 1, 2, 3, and now the team leader, Corbin Hemstreet, out in front at lap 38.
Don't count out the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, who's trying to set his sights up there and try to spoil the party for RCO Boomtown tonight. The driver who's been leading the point standings all along so far this season has used consistency, but he said it's time to go. It's time to get elbows up and start to do what the 14 of David Comstock has done so far this series. 3 wins so far on the points chase season, and solidly locking himself into the chase. And as he says that, he starts to work now wheel to wheel with Nick Silver going into 1.
Yeah, he makes easy work of Nick Silver as he clears him and now sets his sights on the number 94 of Eric Brundy's, your defending series champion. And Dwayne Vincent, I spoke to him earlier today. He wants to win so badly. He got a win in the Asphalt Assault Series a couple weeks ago. He won the Herb Emery Memorial Race a few weeks ago as well. And now he wants to win in the Full Throttle Cup Series. He's been so close so many times this season. As you said, he's the points leader, and he wants it badly. He wants to get up there and win a race, lock himself into the chase by virtue of a win and not by points. He's tired of seeing all these other guys go out there and celebrate and get to burn it down. He wants to be that guy, and he's setting his sights on that White Castle Ford in front of him. He's starting to march up towards the front, and this is a track that also caters to Dwayne Vincent. I definitely expect him to be a threat later on in this race, and right now those Boomtown cars, they are looking really impressive out front. Corbin Hemstreet is starting to separate himself just a little bit from Mitch Rollo. He's got about a 3-car length lead, and he's starting to pull away.
Starting to pull away just ever so slightly, and this is a race, Justin, that I felt like could really suit Corbin Hemstreet the longer it goes. This is a track that Boomtown said they were going to be good at, but this is a race. Corbin Hemstreet likes some of these physical racetracks, Bristol, Dover, Martinsville, where you really have to work. He likes these tracks, and that 69 car proving it. Pulling away, it's a 3-car length gap.
It sure is, and it's starting to expand over his teammate Mitch Rolo, which those two drivers ran very strong until late race mayhem caught those drivers up from the Bristol Speedway in the spring race here in the Full Throttle Cup Series. And don't count out the 9 Anthony DeBarro ran really strong in the Asphalt Assault Series race until damage got him in the early running, trying to use a different pit strategy to get the win away from Jeff Ward in that race, while he rides third, and he's still holding off the defending champion, and Brunnies is to get into 3.
Yeah, he's still holding him off and doing a yeoman's job right now. This time by, we have 44 of 180 laps complete, and we'll be quarter distance when we get back to the flag stand this time. And when we come back, we'll take a little bit of a race break and run you through some of the early race storylines. But right now, from the Dover International Speedway, this is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Brian Macklin. Welcome back to Dover International Speedway as we continue rolling forward and talking about the battle for the lead. We had one about 5 laps ago, lap 50, while we were away at commercial. Justin Rosenau, Corbin Hemstreet clipped the apron on both ends of the racetrack, drew his teammate Mitch Rolo right up to the back of him, and those two have put on a hot and heavy battle, and that battle still rages as we come to 55 laps complete. It's separated by 1 car length as they work back to the line and towards turn 1.
Guys need to settle down a little bit. They're starting to lose a little bit of time to the 94 of Eric Brunnies and the 13 of Dwayne Vincent, who's also battling for the 3rd spot as the 9 of Anthony Navarro is starting to fade it. Oh, 1 car hard in the wall. That's going to be the one of Thomas George getting hard in the wall out of 2.
He was running 5th, too. That's a huge break for a couple of drivers. Anthony DeBarro was falling back and just barely managed to avoid that chaos, but a big sock for Thomas George and the Snap-on Chevrolet as he's fallen back now. Nick Silver, somehow he hangs on to the spot, but George going to be under furious attack. I thought it was DeBarro. That's actually the 25 of Silver, but Silver on the march now. And, you know, I mentioned DeBarro, Justin. He's really starting to fall back. He's in 8th now.
Seems like the tires have gone away on that number 9 Chevrolet, and Anthony DeBarro probably none too happy on the radio, screaming that he wants to come down for full service the next time the caution flag waves. And can't really count out these guys up front as the 69 at Holm Street and the 96 of Rollo. They're starting to pull away, but Rollo now looking for the lead as they get door to door going into turn number 1.
Door to door, Rollo wants it back. Holm Street took it away, and you know, the 96, he's been close to a Full Throttle Cup Series win on a couple of different occasions, and he's now back out in front. 59 laps complete this time by. Boomtown still rides 1-2, but it's now Mitch Rollo back to the point. Brian Macklin, I don't know. Either one of these two, these cars look so evenly matched right now. One will lead for a little bit, then the other will lead for a little bit. It's all going to be about track position if these two are the ones that are settling it amongst themselves later, and we've actually got a little bit of lap traffic. Adam Benefiel back on track with what I would call a modified for a front end, and the leaders make quick work of him.
Yeah, Mitch Rollo and Corbin Hemstreet, they have been glued to each other pretty much this whole race. If you look at qualifying, they qualified 5th and 6th right next to each other, and they have stayed together the entire race, and now they're running 1-2, and Mitch Rollo looks like he's got a really, really good long-run car. He's starting to really pull away from Hemstreet now. He's put almost half a second on him in the last few laps, so it definitely looks like Mitch Rollo has the better car here, as they have now been on track for about 40 laps. They've really got a lot of laps on these tires. Somebody else I want to bring up, Pedro Mojica. He restarted way back in the field, and here on lap 62, he has just cracked the top 5. He's only 3.5 seconds behind these guys, and I've been looking at his lap times. He has been the fastest car on track for about the last 15 laps now. He has just been on fire coming up through the field and marching his way back towards the front. He's a man on a mission. He's got 2 wins, and he needs to get in the top 30 in points so he can make the chase, and he is well on his way to doing that here tonight, as he is coming back to the front in a hurry.
Mojica now getting around the lap machine, the 11 of Adam Benefiel, who was involved in that earlier wreck with the 26 of Jose Gonzalez, the 50 of Mojica. One car down, sliding, trouble. It's going to be the 16 at Harrison Weidelitz with a big save on the back straightaway.
Big save for Weidelitz, but he loses a ton of momentum in that 16 machine and is going to be battling on the outside. Greg Evans taking the spot away on the top side as you take a look at the replay now for that number 16 Chevrolet SS. And for Weidelitz, I don't know how he managed to hang on to that race car. He was 6 ways to Sunday sideways and still managed to save it, and he clips the apron again here at lap 64. That's not what you want to be doing.
Certainly not the driver of that number 16 Hippies Paint Shop Chevrolet, with a handful getting into turn number 1 as the 21 of Matt LaCrosse starts to set his sights on getting around that 16 of Weidelitz for the 13th spot on the racetrack. Just 6.5 seconds in arrears to race leader Mitch Rollo as they get into 3.
All right, Brian, you mentioned him a couple of laps ago. We are now 65 laps into this race, and Pedro Mojica just cracked the top 5. He started outside pole, and boy, oh boy, that Toyota is moving tonight.
Yeah, he has been consistently about 0.2 of a second quicker than these guys in front of him for the last 15 to 20 laps. Right now it's kind of settling in to be about 1/10 of a second faster, but he is still just absolutely blistering this track right now. This is the guy that definitely needed the long run, and as you can see, we are on board with Pedro Mojica right now. He is just running such an incredible pace right now this late into the run. They qualified at 23.5s and 4s, and he's still running 24.5s, so it's about a second drop off, but he is just absolutely flying right now. It's incredible to see how quick he's getting around this track after this many laps on the tires.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, they've got the car underneath him tonight, and he's looking for his 2nd win in a row, Justin, and his 3rd win in the last 6 races. And this is a rookie. he just started this segment with RSR in the Full Throttle Cup Series. He's won the Midnight Truck Championship. That's what allowed him to move up. And we got some smoke. One car slow on the bottom. The leaders scrambling to avoid. I believe that was the Sean Casto machine for the second time.
I believe there was another car on the back straightaway that was spun out, bringing out the caution flag. Looks like it's going to be the 87 of Christopher Hurlow going to be the cause of the caution that put us underneath the Service Master Clean caution flag now for the 4th time here on lap 69.
Replay going up now, and I believe all this started, Brian, with the 52 of Casto. I think that's what we're going to credit the caution as.
Yeah, the 52 spun around before Christopher Hurlow did, and the caution was already out when Hurlow lost it. I don't know if maybe he just was trying to slow down and just didn't have a handle on the car. That's kind of what it looks like. You can see he starts slowing down off turn 2 and just loses the handling on the car. That was a really weird spin for him.
And even weirder is the fact that I'm looking at timing and scoring, and unless I completely blanked out for the last 10 minutes, somehow Dwayne Vincent's worked his way to second. Not sure exactly when he got by the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet, but we'll try and follow up on that Ford here in just a minute, splitting a pair of Chevrolets as the leaders, Justin, headed towards pit lane.
The driver's down on pit road for a deathly slow 35-mile-an-hour pit speed limit here. The 96 of Rollo is surely going to be taking 4 tires along with just about everybody else in the field. Tire wear very critical here at the Monster Mile as the 13 of Dwayne Vincent first to get to his pit stall, now followed by the 96 of Rollo, the 69 of Hemstreet, who gets a shallow entry into his box. That's really going to cost Corbin here as he's well behind the 13 of Dwayne Vincent as far as getting into his pit box. Very slow pit stop going to be for the 69. One car down and away. The 36 Rich Jet with just 2 tires. 13 Dwayne Vincent. 96 of Mitch Rollo going to be on 4 tires as everybody else tries to beat each other for the battle off of pit road.
Rich Jet missed the pit box, so that 36 machine going to have to come back down pit road. We'll be back with more after this from Dover International Speedway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to LSRTV, wrapping up our 4th Service Master Clean caution flag and getting set to restart the field once again, and it's going to be with 73 laps in the record books. Mitch Rollo and Dwayne Vincent going to be on the front row as we welcome you inside the Inside Sim Racing broadcast tower. Jacob Seelman, Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin on the call tonight for the Monster Mile 180 Benefiting Autism Speaks. iRacing Ford First Mustang pace cars off the racetrack, and the field in the hands of Mitch Rollo as they work slowly off of turn number 4, waiting on that American Ethanol green flag. It flies. Boomtown Sim rolls right to P1 and P2. Rollo, Hemstreet. Now Brundy's going for 3rd. Dwayne Vincent did not get a good restart, Justin.
Had a terrible restart, now yields the 4th position to the driver that's had his hair on fire for the last run. Pedro Mojica now takes the 4th spot as he sails it off into turns 3 and 4 and starts to set his sights on last year's champ, the 94, Eric Brundy's. But the battle up front, looking like Corbin Hemstreet says he wants a piece of that lead once again. It's now he's looking to the inside of the 96 of Mitch Rollo as they work towards 2.
Working towards turn number 2, and that 50 is a man on a mission, knocking on the back deck lid of the 94 of Eric Brundy's. That's going to be the battle for 3rd. Up front, Boomtown leaders still in lockstep as we come to lap 75. Rollo and Hemstreet, the top 2. Back in the pack a little further. How about another guy that's on the march? Just in the 14, Monster Energy Machine, David Comstock inside the top 10 once again in 7th.
Repairs being made to that number 14 machine. Got that thing all patched back up. Battle for 3rd on the racetrack. Mojica, with his hair on fire, wants to claim P3 and does so out of turn number 4. One car almost in the wall on the front stretch. The 13, Royal Speed Ford Fusion of Dwayne Vincent almost getting to the front stretch wall. They're on the front straightaway.
That's the points leader. We're going to get a look at the replay as we go side by side. Vincent in trouble, about to give up another spot as he lost several right there. The Greg Evans machine back and working through. He's back. Vincent is now on the back half of the top 10. Vincent's fallen to 8th, and he may lose a couple more spots before it's all said and done as the battle's on for 2nd. Pedro Mojica's coming calling.
Mojica actually clears the 69 at Hemstreet as now he sets his sights. He wants the lead. He is going straight through the front, folks, as he looks to the inside. And Rollo out of turn number 4 did not get a good run. Caution waving now on the straightaway for the 5th time.
William Kempf around on the back straightaway in that number 22 Autotrader.com machine. The Ford Fusion of Kempf with pretty substantial rear end damage to that machine puts us under the caution for the 5th time here at lap 78. Going to take a look at the replay right now, and as Kempf goes around, we remind you that our caution periods tonight powered by Service Master Clean. For more than 50 years, Service Master Clean has been serving both residential and commercial customers, tackling tough cleaning jobs to help get your space clean and keep it that way. Founded in 1929, Service Master Clean still operates today under the code of treating everyone with respect, doing the right thing, remaining accountable for each action, and of course, sending those Service Master Clean trucks to take care of carpet and upholstery cleaning, janitorial and specialty cleaning, or fire and water damage. For all your cleaning needs, call the yellow trucks and get Service Master Clean. Again, under the caution flag now, coming up on 80 of 180 laps in the record books. Mitch Rollo, your leader, over Pedro Mojica, Corbin Hemstreet, Eric Brundy's, and Nick Silver. Now the top 5, David Comstock, Nicholas Cohan, Dwayne Vincent, Greg Evans, Thomas George. Round out your top 10. We're coming up on our Midway race break here in just a little while, but how impressive is the run by the 96 of Mitch Rollo, Brian Macklin? We saw him last May, actually, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now, check that. Last October at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was the chase race, as a matter of fact. He was leading, coming to the white flag. Eric Brundy's gets underneath him on the last lap to win it. And Rollo looks like a man possessed now as he ducks off the banking and looking like he's going to bring some guys to pit road. Mojica, is he going to come? He's looking, and no. Okay, so I had my directions reversed a little bit, back straight away. You know, I can read or watch occasionally, but why? Now, so that brings up an even more interesting question that I just voiced, Brian. Why? Why are we ducking off turn 2 and ducking way to the bottom on the back straightaway? There's no way we're talking about saving fuel, are we? Really?
No, I think they knew you were going to see it and then think something of it, so they just wanted to mess around with you up here in the broadcast booth. I think they were just playing games with you.
That's cold. That's cold.
I don't really know what was going on there. I know that the Lucky Dog car was being waved around, so perhaps they were getting out of the way of the Lucky Dog car and making sure he had plenty of room to come around and get his lap back. I really don't know what was going on there. That's tough to say. But yeah, Mitch Rollo has just been absolutely incredible. He's been one of those guys where he shows speed week in and week out, and for whatever reason, things don't seem to go his way, whether he gets caught up in a late race accident or strategy just doesn't work in his favor. But he has certainly got the speed to go up there and try to win these races, and at some point it's going to fall his way, and he's going to get that win that has eluded him for so long, and you're going to see one of the biggest celebrations I think we'll have ever seen in real sim racing. And yeah, it's just going to be an incredible moment when he finally gets that win.
One driver to note that's been on a tear in the Real Sim Racing Series, the 89 of Jeff Ward. Heavy left front damage to that Unical 76 Chevrolet. Ward mired now back mid-pack, running 17th on the racetrack, was at one point 21st or 22nd just before that caution flag flew. Service being made to a few vehicles now towards the back end of the lead lap. Drivers being the 87 of Christopher Hurlow, who spun around, as well as the 22 of William Kemp, getting damage repairs on that machine, along with the 78 of Brandon Peterson, the 48 of Kevin Linden, also the last car on lead lap, now leaving pit road, as the field getting ready to stack back up as we're coming to 1 to green.
1 to green. You've got Pedro Mojica back to second, Justin. But he's on that outside lane, and we know that lane has not worked well on the restarts. What do you expect out of that number 50 JDR Graphics Toyota on this one?
Don't say it hasn't worked out, because the 96 Rollo went around him Street to the point.
True.
So all he has to do is time it just right out there in the outside lane and not spin his tires, as we do have about 20 or so laps on these tires from the last time these drivers pitted. So the JDR Graphics Toyota looks like he wants to try to take the point and complete the mission to the front.
Wrapping up this Service Master Clean Caution, the 5th one of the night, and we are going to get a green flag with 84 official laps going to be, actually check that, we're going to get the restart on lap 84, 83 official laps going to be in the record books of 180. Rollo and Mojica on row 1, Himstreet and Brundys on row 2, Silver and Comstock on row 3, Cohan and Vincent on row 4, and then Evans and George, the Steel Horse teammates, rounding out the top 10. Stefan Marinak behind them in 11th. Ready to roll. Pace car's gone, and the American Ethanol green flag as they work off turn number 4 is now back in the air. And again, Boomtown Sim right to the point. 1-2, Rollo, Himstreet, Mojica back to 3rd and back to 1.
Nick Silver going to reclaim the 5th spot away from the 14 of David Comstock, as those two were battling into turn number 1. Car in the wall on the back straightaway. That's the points leader, 13, Dwayne Vincent. A little bit of contact with the right side of that machine on the back stretch wall out of turn 2 that last time, by a little bit of damage now showing on the rear end of that Royal Speed Dynamics 1-Up Motorsports Ford Fusion, as he starts to defend his spot now from a hard charging number 23, Greg Evans.
Evans charging, another guy that's charging, the guy who is about to take over the 2nd spot, Pedro Mojica, all over the rear deck lid of the 69 of Corbin Himstreet. That's the battle for 2nd, and off turn 4, separated by less than a car length. Here comes Mojica, taking a peek on the inside.
Himstreet shuts the door on the 50 of Mojica, and now dress up the racetrack, now looking wheel to wheel as they drag race out of turn number 2 on the back straightaway here on lap number 86. Just 4 laps coming up this time by from halfway. Mojica now on a P2 as he sets his sights on the 96 of Mitch Rollo.
And it was about, I think, what, Justin, lap 18 or 19 when we were talking about this guy on getting caught out on the pit lane and having to restart from the back. And now, about 70 laps later, he's looking to go for the lead.
He sure is, and he's closing in quickly, folks. The gap now, just 3 car lengths now in turns 3 and 4 to get on the front straightaway. Mojica going to close that gap little by little. He's eating up a lot of real estate in a short time, as he's now inside of about 1/3 of a second away from the back deck lid of that 96 machine as they work off of 2.
You've got to wonder, though, Brian, don't you, how much he's actually burning up his equipment to get back through the field and to be in the thick of this fight. If Rollo can manage that gap, hold him there, and force him to use up his stuff a little bit more than maybe Mojica wants to, that could play into his favor later on. Even if the 50 gets by for a little bit, if he burns it up too soon, he'll fall right back to him.
Yeah, and it definitely looks like Pedro Mojica is driving this car a little bit harder than he did on that long green flag stint that we saw. And I actually heard Mitch Rollo talking to his crew chief, and they told him exactly that. Don't burn your stuff up. Take your time. If he gets to you, let him go. Don't try to hold him up. Don't try to defend this race lead. Let him go. Save your tires, and he's going to come back to you. So I expect that if Pedro gets any closer to him, as he's right on the rear deck lid right now as they work through 3 and 4, I do expect we'll see Mitch Rollo pull over and let him go and just manage his tires, and then hopefully he'll be able to get back to him and pass him as we get a lot of laps on these tires.
Halfway this time by, so what say we take a look at the iRacing Midway race break, and out front it is the 96 of Mitch Rollo, followed closely by the JDR Graphics Toyota of Pedro Mojica in second, the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet third, and the 94 Eric Brundys rides fourth. Nick Silver completes the top 5, then it's Dwayne Vincent in 6th, David Comstock 7th, Greg Evans 8th, Stefan Marinac in 9th, and Thomas George rounding out the top 10 despite a little bit of damage to the right side of his Snap-on Chevrolet.
Harrison Weidel is recovering from a dangerous moment now to run 11th with a 20 of Chad Coleman riding 12th. 53, Nick Cohan rides 13th. The 89 of Jeff Ward running 14th. The 9 of Anthony DeBarro running 15th. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse rides 16th along with the 42 of Scott Stenzel. 29, Brendan Mercer rides 18th. 19th goes to the 44 of Glenn Campbell. Rounding out your top 20, the 91, the Nerfinator, that's Steve Goschalk.
In the 21st position is Rhett McBride. Right behind him, actually starting to lose a couple of positions here, Scott Simley and Christopher Hurley are battling for the 22nd and 23rd positions. In the 24th position is the number 43 of Doug Raw. Right behind them, Dan Murray in the number 5 machine. He's in the 25th position. In the 26th position is Rich Jett. 27th is Kevin Linden. William Kempf is 28th, and the last car on the lead lap is the number 78 machine of Brandon Peterson. And 1 lap down in the 30th position is Sean Casto in the number 52 car.
31st, also 1 lap down, is the 27 Paul Nicholas Cooper. Then Adam Benefiel many laps down in 32nd, and we'll get through the last of the field in just a bit. They're all out of the race, and we got a multi-car melee bringing out the caution at lap 95.
The 5 of Dan Murray finding trouble along with the 52 of Sean Casto finding trouble again. And is there another contact under caution? The 43 of Doug Roth going to get a big piece of that along with the 78 of Brandon Peterson. These drivers certainly voicing their displeasure with their cars on the racetrack.
Taking a look at the replay right now, so race fans at home will get another look at exactly what puts us under our 6th Service Master Clean caution flag of the race. But real quickly, want to take you back through the back half of the field. All of these cars are out of the race. 33rd, David Lanza. 34th, Jason Lester. 35th, Jimmy North. 36th, Jose Gonzalez. 37th, David Kamara at lap 96. That's a look at your Ford Midway race break. Ford, go further. Going to be 96 laps complete this time by, and Mitch Rollo, Pedro Mojica, Corbin Hemstreet have been the top 3 for a while, and it looks like now, as I have my orientation correct here, gentlemen, they're leading the way down pit road, and it looks like pretty much the entire field coming with them, Justin.
It's time to put 4 fresh tires on those machines and around the Sunoco race field on those cars as well. The 96 of Rollo creeping down pit lane at 35 miles an hour. Going to be the first to hit his pit stall along with the 50 of Pedro Mojica. Going to be joining him just shortly as well with the other Boomtown car, the 69 of Corbin Hemstreet. All now getting to the attention of their pit crews on pit road. Great entry for the 69 of Hemstreet. 96 Rollo entered too shallow. That's going to cost him a lot of time. Going to see if he's going to have to yield the real estate to the 50 of Mojica when they roll off the pit road.
We'll wait and see. Right side's going up, and it looks like the race off pit road will indeed go to the 50 of Pedro Mojica. Rich Jett actually stayed out in the 36 machine to lead lap number 96, but Mojica wins the race off pit road, and he will be the provisional leader, we assume, when we go back green flag racing. Right now, since we're past halfway, we're going to take you side by side. And we'll be back for more from Dover International Speedway right after this from the Monster Mile. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Monster Mile 180 benefiting Autism Speaks here on LSRTV. Gonna go green as we roll through turns 3 and 4 right now. Field gonna be in the hands of the 50 JDR Graphics Toyota of Pedro Mojica as the Ford First Racing pace car now dives to the safety of pit road. Field slowly rolling in the hands of Mojica as he stands on the hammer as we get back under the American Ethanol green flag as Hemstreet gets around his teammate 96 and Mitch Rollo to complete the second position swap there as 96 Rollo battling hard to get back into third. 94 Brundy's on the outside, gets a little bit loose, yielding position to 25 and Nick Silver, who takes fourth spot. It's going to be a battle for fifth as they sail off into 3.
I just saw one car get in the wall off turn number 2 last time. That's the 23 of Greg Evans, who socked the safer barrier at the exit of turn number 2. He holds on to it, and we're now 101 laps through this race, inside of 80 laps to go, and Eric Brundy's, the 94 machine, continues to slide backwards. That White Castle Ford finally falls into line behind Dwayne Vincent. He's now 8th.
Everybody's stretching out single file on the racetrack for the moment. First position battle on the racetrack going to be for the position for the number 20th position, actually. 29 of Brendan Mercer working to the outside of the 2 of Rhett McBride, and the 91 of Steve Goschalk as well. All battling for position on the racetrack, and out of turn number 2, the edge going to be given to the 91 of Steve Goschalk as the 29 of Mercer battles back on the high side as they get into 3. The 15 of Scott Simley wants to join the party for this battle for P20.
He wants to join the party, and he is trying to get there. And as we watch this battle, you're not missing anything up front. Pedro Mojica's pulled about 6 car lengths ahead of the Boomtown Sim teammates, and back side by side behind this battle around 20th, 21st, 22nd. Another side-by-side battle just clearing up. That's 21st and 22nd now. Christopher Herlo, Scott Simley, and now Brendan Mercer's back there, gets tagged, nearly goes around, and Herlo's a man on a mission. He wants to move back inside the top 20 and just about ran Mercer up into the wall.
That number 29, GarryMercer.com Chevrolet of Brendan Mercer, very unhappy with the handling of his race car. That's an angry race car indeed, going into turn number 1 the last time by. Very loose on that machine as he's trying to cross over, get back underneath the 15 of Scott Simley and try to reclaim that 22nd spot. And right now, looking back up towards the front, it's all Pedro Mojica. He's pulled out several car lengths over the 69 and the 96 of Rollo up front as these two drivers battling for P2. The 96 of Rollo working on his teammate Hemstreet is Nick Silver, the 25. He wants to join the party as they're on the front straightaway.
Don't look now, but here comes the 14 of David Comstock. And if there's anybody that can hold a candle to the 50 of Pedro Mojica, I think it's the Monster Energy Chevrolet. The problem is, he's mired in traffic here at lap 107. Comstock knocking on the rear deck lid of Nick Silver's 25 machine. That's the battle for 4th as they work back to the line. 107 in the books this time.
Comstock trying to do everything he can, but it's Nick Silver working on the backside of the 96 of Mitch Rollo for the 3rd spot on the back straightaway right now. Silver right in the tire tracks of that Race Chaser Online Chevrolet SS of Mitch Rollo as they sail into turn number 3. David Comstock also closing in on the 25 of Silver. Now looking to the inside of Silver on the front straightaway, and it's a battle going into 1 wheel to wheel for P4.
I told you. Keep an eye on the 14, and he might just surprise you. Silver's going to give up 2 spots right here because Dwayne Vincent going to move by to take over the 5th spot and move back inside the top 5. Meanwhile, the gap from the leader, Pedro Mojica, back to Corbin Hemstreet has stabilized right at 1 second with 109 laps complete. And that time by Brian, Corbin a tick faster, maybe about 100th over Pedro Mojica. I don't know if Hemstreet's more of a long-run car than Mojica is per se, but at the very least, he doesn't want to give up any more time. This is already a bad enough gap as it is without counting the fact that we're going to be in lap traffic probably sooner rather than later.
Well, and the thing going in Pedro Mojica's favor is he can set his own pace now. He's out front. He's got a pretty good-sized lead here as it's just over a second gap from him to second place Corbin Hemstreet. And he doesn't have to go out there and run that car as hard as he wants to. He can take his time and save the tires a little bit and maybe still gap these guys. We really don't know just how hard he's pushing it right now. We know he had incredible long run speed in the earlier stages of this race, so if he's not showing everything he's got, this field better watch out if we get a 50 or 60 lap run going, because he's going to most likely lap a lot of cars here on this run.
That's going to be key. 112 laps going in the books as the leader works back to the start-finish line. Best battle on the racetrack between teammates yet again. Corbin Hemstreet and Mitch Rollo can't seem to get away from each other tonight, and Rollo clipped the apron going into turn number 1, hangs on to it, and that's the battle down the back straightaway within a car length. Then check that caution flag flying here at lap 113. Rich Jet again. Brennan Mercer's in it. Couple of cars getting tied up over on the far end of the racetrack, Justin.
Mercer very loose off of turn number 4, and that was a result of what I said earlier, Jacob. Very angry race car as he gets loose, Gets it corrected, then overcorrects and into the outside. Retaining wall on the front straightaway, the 27 of Paul Nicholas. Cooper getting involved with heavy after-the-fact damage with the 36 of Rich Jett involved in that as well. How about a shout-out to the driver that missed all of that on the front straightaway? How about the 52 of Sean Casto? Had bad luck all night long, just barely misses the spinning car, the 29 of Brendan Mercer in turn 1.
We're going to go LSRTV side by side here under the caution flag as we'll catch you up on pit stops when we come back from Dover International Speedway. You're watching Live Sim Racing TV. One lap to green as we welcome you back to LSR TV and the Monster Mile 180 benefiting Autism Speaks. And we're about a half lap away from the green flag. Jacob Zielman, Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin here in the Inside Sim Racing broadcast tower. And we're going to have just 63, I can do math, 63 laps to go here at the Monster Mile. It's going to be Eric Brundies, the defending series champion, who leads after he stayed out under this most recent round of pit stops. Question will be, do his tires hold up? Can he hold off the advances of everybody that pitted behind him? We're getting ready for the restart, Justin Rosenau, and I'm excited for this one. It's going to be chaotic.
Pace car to pit road, field in the hands of Brundies, who gets ready to rack him, stack him, and he fires off cleanly out of turn number 4, and that's going to wave the American Ethanol green flag in the air in Him Street. Now working to the inside of Mojica for P2, and it's a drag race into turn number 1. Mojica's not going to give that position up easily as they sail out of turn number 2. Mojica now to P2, Him Street back to P3 as they get into turn 3.
Him Street's not done with it, but Mojica says otherwise as he slides down the racetrack, almost takes the nose off of that number 69 Chevrolet, and behind them, side by side for 6th place, Greg Evans, 23 inside, 14 David Comstock outside. Comstock nearly tags the fence.
Comstock had a very angry race car coming out of turn number 2. He had that thing crossed up every way to Sunday, and he saved it, proving what a great driver he is. And the 23 Evans now almost finding trouble on the front straightaway as Silver now works to the inside of the 14 of Comstock in turn number 2. Battle for the lead developing. Mojica all over Brundys.
Mojica wants it. Brundys does not want to give it up as we're just now going to be 3 laps past the restart at lap 118. 120 going in the books this time by, 2/3 of the way through here at Dover International Speedway, and it is gonna be a barn burner tonight. Corbin Hemstreet charging, hold on tight, Nick Silver off to, somehow manages to save that car. Unbelievable.
Good hands move of the race by the driver, the number 25 Ford Service Ford of Nick Silver. Lead change, Pedro Mojica going to take it at the stripe as there's contact now between the 20 of Chad Coleman, the 2 of Rhett McBride, trading paint on the racetrack for about the 14th spot on the racetrack this time by. They get everything settled, and it's chaos, utter chaos in the late stages here at the Monster Mile 180.
Late chaos at Dover, Brian Macklin. Who would have thunk it?
That's exactly what you expect when you come to the Monster Mile. That's why it has the name that it has been given. It is a monstrous track, and these guys are showing why. They are all over each other right now, and there's battles. There's starting to be battles all over the racetrack. It's not spread out single file like you would like we saw earlier in the race. They're starting to get really racy throughout the entire field, and that's why we're seeing all this action. Nick Silver, what an incredible save by him just a few laps ago. That was absolutely incredible. He got into the door of David Comstock, and then they constantly slid all the way through turns 1 and 2, and somehow he managed to hang on to it. That was really impressive.
Did anybody notice that Dwayne Vincent's quietly moved his way into a battle for 3rd as they work into turn number 3? Vincent, bottom side on Mitch Rollo, takes the spot away and moves back where we've seen him so many times this season. On the podium, Justin.
The 23 of Greg Evans now going to work to the inside of last year's champion, the 94, Eric Brundys, as they work out of turn number 2. Brundys still going to hold on to that spot, but Greg Evans going to work to the inside, now to looking to the outside as the 14 of David Comstock going to join that party. 3 cars all underneath the blanket for P5 as they come out of 4.
All right, Brian, we're down to it now. 55 laps to go, 125 on the board. If you're the crew chief, if you're the spotter on top of the pit box or on top of the tower here on the front straightaway, what are you telling your driver as we get into the late stages of this race?
Well, fuel is not an issue. They're good to go on fuel to the end of the race from here, so they don't have to worry about that. So now we've seen a mixture of everything. We've seen a lot of cautions, but we also saw a couple of really long green flag runs, so it's hard to predict exactly how this race is going to end. If we go with the trends of the last several races, it seems like we have cautions, and Dwayne Vincent's in the wall off turn 2. He got heavy contact into the outside wall and has a lot of damage to that car, so now he's going to have something to worry about here over the next few laps.
And you know, I was just watching that Roll Speed Dynamics 1UP Motorsports Ford Fusion, and I thought maybe Vincent was one of the few guys that I've seen in the late stages have the speed to maybe chase down that 50 of Pedro Mojica. Instead now, he's got to see if his race car is hurt, Justin Rosenau. I'm not seeing anything on the side of that 13, but what are they saying on top of the box?
A little bit of damage on the back end of that right front fender on that 13 machine, and Vincent possibly using the walls a little bit of a strategy tool, complaining of a loose race car. Well, if you bang the right front end a little bit, Jacob, it's going to tighten that race car a little bit, and that may give him a little bit more traction as he's starting to gain fractions of second on your leader, Pedro Mojica, as he comes out of 4.
It's also a 3-car battle for second. Corbin Hemstreet's got it. Dwayne and the 96 of Mitch Rollo, they both want it. This time by, it's going to be 50 laps to go from Dover International Speedway, and the battle for the lead, about a second from Mojica back to Corbin Hemstreet, Dwayne Vincent, and Mitch Rollo. Those three packed tightly together in turn 4.
The 14 of Comstock getting very loose and into the wall. Right side damage alongside that machine. Falls 3 spots. Gets falling behind now the 23 of Greg Evans, the 94 of Brundys, and now the 24 of Stefan Marinek joining the party in 7th spot as he's starting to work on the back deck lid of the 94. White Castle Ford of Eric Brundys as he gets into turn number 3. Gap going to be about a car length. Comstock trying to do everything he can to get back up towards these guys, and he's within about 2 car lengths of striking on the back deck lid of that Mach 1 Racing Graphics Chevrolet in 1.
How about Anthony DeBarro in the 9? He's worked his way quietly back up inside the top 10, running appropriately in the 9th position right now, just ahead of Matt Lacrosse. All that, though, happening 4.8 seconds behind race leader Pedro Mojica in the JDR Graphics Toyota. He's taken command with about 48 laps to go from Dover International Speedway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to LSR TV, closing stages of the Monster Mile 180, benefiting Autism Speaks. Jacob Seelman, Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin in the broadcast booth. Pedro Mojica, your leader, and continuing to work some lap traffic now that has cut the lead gap from he to Dwayne Vincent down inside of 0.6 of a second. It's about 5.5 car lengths as the leaders finishing working through some lap traffic and head back down the backstretch.
Dwayne Vincent took P2 away from the 69 at Corbin Hemstreet on lap 137 with the 96 of Rollo just ever so closely eking out his teammate to take away P3. That's going to relegate the 69 at Hemstreet back to P4, 1.5 seconds in arrears to Pedro Mojica, who's starting to open up that gap a little bit. And the 48 of Kevin Linden, as you see on your screen, blown up on the inside of the racetrack. We stay green right now on the back straightaway.
Yeah, it looks like the damage that the 48 had finally prevailed, and the motor expired. He's fortunately going to get off the racing surface, and no caution will come out. Another one that also blew up while we were at commercial is the 78 of Brandon Peterson. He also had some issues and had a big explosion under the hood as they went off into turn 1, and he also was able to get off the track and keep the service master clean caution from coming out. And here in the closing stages, we're seeing Dwayne Vincent really start to put the pressure on Pedro Mojica. He has been right there on him within half a second over the last 8 or 9 laps now, and he's matching his lap times or being a little bit quicker than him, and he is really starting to put the pressure on. And David Comstock has also really been fading over the last few laps. I don't know that we have a replay for it, but he had an incredible save off turn 2 about 10 laps ago, and he lost a lot of time and really wore out those tires, and he has started to drop like a rock. He's back to the 13th position right now as the pole sitter, and just continues to fade.
Yeah, and we're so used to that Monster Energy Chevrolet being up front. It's almost surprising to see how quickly he's dropping back. And the battle for the lead, while Comstock is dropping back, is heating up rather quickly. Dwayne Vincent has cut it down to 4 car lengths over Pedro Mojica. And the question you have to ask yourself, Justin, I've been saying it for the last 30 laps. Did Pedro burn up his equipment too soon and not save enough for the end? We're 35 laps to go. They're on the back straightaway.
The gap closes again ever so closely. It's about 3.5 car lengths now in turns 3 and 4. The 13 of Dwayne Vincent now starting to eat up a large chunk of real estate. 2 car lengths now in the gap as they come across the stripe this time by Dwayne Vincent on the charge in 1.
He wants a win, and boy, does he want it in a big way. Down the backstretch, Dwayne Vincent closing about a half car length every single lap into turn number 3. He just digs a little bit more from about the center off, and Dwayne Vincent is closing in a hurry. That's going to be the battle for the lead. We've got 33 laps to go.
One driver to highlight here, moving all the way up from the 33rd spot on the racetrack. He's going to battle with last year's champ. That's the 21 of Matt Lacrosse, battling the 94 Eric Brundy's out of turn number 2. Looking to the inside is the Quick Car Racing Product Chevrolet of Matt Lacrosse. Not much to speak about for that crew all race long, but he's starting to find his way towards the front here in the latter stages, coming up this time by to make it 32 laps to go.
Yeah, 32 to go. It'll be 31 when they get back to the line, and the gap now stabilizing at about 0.4 of a second. There will be more traffic to deal with, but for Dwayne Vincent, you don't want to show all your cards right now, do you, Brian? Because he wants to have that little bit left in the bank, maybe for one final charge.
Yeah, this certainly has the feel of a green flag run that's probably going to go to the finish of this race, so he definitely wants to try to hold on to a little bit of those tires. He doesn't want to use everything up as he gets really loose, and we actually have a caution. I think I jinxed it right there, guys. We got to figure out what happened.
Anthony DeBarro over in turn number 1. Big cloud of smoke. And he's slow down the back straightaway. That's a tough break here at lap, I think, 149 going to be the official cause of the caution. And boy, oh boy, tough break for DeBarro. You know, and he's on pit road. Look at the front end damage to that machine, Justin. Heartbreak for a car that was running as high as 3rd earlier in this race.
A car that was running very high earlier in the race fell back to the bottom 20s right now, and you're going to see replay going up on your screen right now. The 3-car battle shaping up between the 21 of Lacrosse, the 94 Eric Brundy's, and the 9 of DeBarro, and DeBarro just gets loose out of turn number 4, kind of loses the handle on it at the end of the front straightaway, making heavy contact with the inside front straightaway wall, and that's going to probably end the night for the driver, the number 9 Chevrolet. Anthony DeBarro is leaders now on pit road. Mojica, Vincent, Rollo, those guys, critical stops of the race.
This is the money stop if you're all the leaders right here. And how is it going to shake out? We are about to find out as Pedro Mojica heads for his pit stall car number 50. All the way down to pit stall number 2. Hits it right on the money as Mojica, right side jack going on that machine and right side tires going on. They drop the jack. Head to the left side now. We're going to wait and see. Who's it going to be winning the race off pit road? Survey says Mojica by about an inch.
Mojica, close call there on pit road, almost getting into the contact with the 13 of Dwayne Vincent. 15.07 for the 13 and a 14-second stop for the 50 of Pedro Mojica. So very quick stops on those machines. It's going to be basically a mirror outlook of the top four as we get the order reset for you here in just a moment, Jacob. Great stop by that number 50 crew. They really needed to get back out on point.
They did just that. What we need to do is take care of a little bit of business. When we come back, more action from the Monster Mile. We're going side by side from Dover International Speedway. You're watching Live Sim Racing TV.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve.
Welcome back to LSRTV, rolling under caution and doubling up for a restart. We're going to have 154 laps complete, so we will have just 26 to go when we get the green flag. Hang on tight, boys and girls, because Justin Rosenau, this one, is about to get good. 26 miles away from victory lane, and I see two guys on the front row that I really like right now.
All depends on the restart. Pace car down on pit road. Field in the hands of Mojica, who surprises everybody on the loud pedal out of turn number 4. Great restart for the driver, the number 50 JDR Graphics Toyota, and it's going to be almost 3 wide for the lead. Rollo almost drove it in there 3 wide, thinks better of it, got out of it. Now he's solidly in P2. Dwayne Vincent now had to fight off the 69 of Corbin Hinge Street to stay in the bottom step on the podium in P3. Several drivers trying to battle for everything we can here. Going to be 25 to go this time by.
Mitch Rollo almost got the restart of his life right there and tried to make a run at Mojica's back quarter panel and just couldn't quite get there. 25 to go down the backstretch. It's Mojica, Rollo, and Vincent is back behind. They're all scattering. David Comstock's in the middle of a mess, and a little bit further forward, Eric Brundy's in the 94, back on the attack on Stefan Marinak.
Brundy's with fresh tires on that White Castle Ford, trying to do what he can to get around that Mach 1 Racing Graphics Chevrolet of Stefan Marinak. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse now joins the party. It's a 3-way battle for the 6th spot on the racetrack as Brundy's falls back in line. Thought better of looking down to the inside of Marinak. Did not quite have the run that time by. Now it's the 21 Lacrosse trying to do what he can to get a run on that 94 White Castle Ford as these guys battling hard for P6 as it's 23 to go this time by.
All right, Brian, Pedro Mojica back out front. I'm liking him right now. Is there anything that makes you think that the 96 of Mitch Rollo's got anything left in the tank?
Well, if he does, he's got to show it now. They don't have enough laps left to where you need to worry about saving the tires, as Mitch gets really loose off turn 4 and saves it. What an incredible job he did right there, and didn't lose a lot of time either. But if he's got something for him, he's got to show it now. We're down to just over 20 laps to go. He doesn't have time to try to wait for the tires to come in. He's got to go for it, and he's got to go now.
He is trying to go in that Race Chaser Online Chevrolet SS and trying to keep Dwayne Vincent behind him in that number 3 position. Corbin Hemstreet, Greg Evans, the rest of the top 5. And, I mean, you got 2 guys back in 7th and 8th, Justin. Eric Brundy's Matt Lacrosse, plus 24 and plus 25. They've come from the low 30s to run 7th and 8th right now. Brilliant drives for both of those veterans.
Yeah, brilliant drives. Now the 21 Lacrosse made a mistake, lost about 5 car lengths to the 94 Eric Brundy's. Starting to fall back now into the clutches of the number 1 of Thomas George and that Snap-on Chevrolet, trying to work around that 21 Lacrosse for the A spot and not really gaining much time that time through turns 1 and 2 did the number 1 of Thomas George. The 94 of Brundy's now starting to go to work again on that 24 of Marinac as they work side by side almost out of turn number 4.
Working back to the line and back already to turns 1 and 2. This time by, it was just 19 laps remaining in that gap, about a half second between Pedro Mojica and Mitch Rollo. Mojica in the Toyota's got it. Rollo in the Chevrolet wants to close it down a little bit. And the only thing that could take this away from Pedro Mojica, I think, Brian, is traffic, if we get back into traffic. Though as I say that, Rollo just chopped a 10th out of it last time by. Maybe he does have a little bit left in the tank.
Yeah, Rollo has certainly picked up his game, and he is right there. And if something happens as the 48 heaves to these guys and lets all these leaders get by very cleanly, that was a very respectful move of Kevin Linden. And yeah, Mitch Rollo is certainly closing. If he's got something, he's starting to show it. Pedro's got the pressure on now, and it's going to be very interesting. He gains another 10th and a half. It's down to just over 2 car lengths back, so Mitch Rollo is on the charge.
He is coming, but so is Dwayne Vincent. This could be yet a 3-man battle for the win as they work across the stripe to complete lap 164. 16 laps to go. Mojica pushes it back out just a little bit. That ground that Rollo gained, he just had to give back. We're almost to 15 laps to go.
Everybody all out on the wheel. It's all grab and go. No more give and take from anybody on the racetrack at this point in the race. Right now, the JDR Graphics Toyota finds the sweet line out of turn number 4, opens up about another half car length with the 96 of Rollo, who himself took a little bit out of that time there as he got a better run through turns 1 and 2, lost a little bit of ground there in 3 and 4. Dwayne Vincent lurking there in the background. How about the 69 of Rollo right now as there's caution on the speedway?
Nick Silver, problems for the number 53 Target entry. Going to draw our 9th Service Master Clean caution flag of this race. Got up hard into the outside wall over in turn number 1 and slows the pace with just about 14 laps to go. Cohan claiming the caution. And, you know, this is one of those points where, for just a minute, Justin, as we take a look at the replay, actually want to highlight a new system that quietly went into effect 1 week ago at the Michigan International Speedway, an incident point system for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series, designed hopefully to prevent some of the mad rush of cautions that we've seen at a couple of races this season, most notably, I think, Pocono 2 races ago.
As leaders stay out on the racetrack right now, Pocono was kind of a disaster of a race. Several caution flags flying during that event. Yellow fever reigned supreme at the tricky triangle, and that's the reason why we're under this new incident point system. And Jacob, these drivers got to clean it up a little bit, especially ones that are on the verge of possibly being ones affected first by this new system.
And the new system, it works like this. Basically, it's kind of a hybrid of the old system and the new system, Brian, that if you claim the caution, you get 2 incident points credited to you. If you don't claim a caution, it goes to a 5-man panel for review at the end of the race. If the panel unanimously votes that a driver is the cause of a caution, they receive 5 points. If it's a split decision, then a driver receives as many incident points as they had votes cast for them in the review session. Once you get to 7 points, you'll be suspended for the next race on the calendar. So you gotta be careful. You can't have too many problems, at least of your own making. Otherwise, real quickly, you turn into disaster. It almost puts you in a 3 strikes, you're out scenario, because you can have 3, but that as far as claimed cautions go, but that 4th one will bite you.
Yeah, unfortunately, they also put in place a system where if you have a clean race, you do get a point taken off of your total. So, say you have 6 incident points going into, say tonight, somebody's got 6 incident points and they get through this race without causing any cautions, they'll actually get a point taken off and have that number reduced down to 5. So, they did something to reward the drivers that are actually able to clean up their driving and not have as many accidents, as well as put a system in place that's going to penalize the ones that cause a lot of problems and constantly bring out the cautions. So it's a very well-rounded system, and it has helped in the first 2 weeks that it has been used. And Michigan wasn't the best example of that because we expect long green flag runs there, but here at Dover, this was a much cleaner race than I expected it to be. This is a tough racetrack for these drivers to come to, and for them to only have 9 cautions out of 169 laps so far, they've done a really good job, and I think that the admins will be very proud of this new system and see the progress that it has already made just 2 weeks in.
Amazing, Justin, that we're talking about a race with 9 cautions being one that's remotely clean tonight.
Yeah, but you have to take into account races that have been absolute disasters, like the Tricky Triangle race at the Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania, and that was just one caution after another, and Jacob, the 96 of Rollo, the only pass of the race on the outside on the restarts. And as we get ready to go back to green this next time by, look for that 96 roller did the same thing he did to his teammate Himstreet there earlier in the race.
All right. This is the money restart right here because, Brian, basically, it all comes down to this. We're going to have 10 laps to go when we get the green flag, and it's anybody's guess what we're going to see.
It's anybody's guess, but if history is going to repeat itself, we're going to see a lot of crazy action. These guys going after everything they can get. 10 laps to go, and this might be the last restart of the race. They're going to have to get a caution pretty quickly if they're going to have a chance to go back green again. So these guys know that the pressure is on, the intensity has went up, and as they're working down the back straightaway into turn number 3, it is absolutely incredible what we're about to watch here. We're going to see Pedro Mojica and Mitch Rollo go after it here.
It's all come down to this. 170 laps down, 10 laps remain here at the Dover International Speedway. Who's it going to be holding the Miles the Monster Trophy? We're about to find out. Green flag going back in the air. We're underway. Rollo not getting the best of starts, but now he falls into line and back to turn number 1. Corbin M Street in the fence. Big crash over in turn number 1. 5, 7, 9 cars involved, and that's now as they continue to pile in, Justin. That's almost half the field.
Half the field that was on the lead lap car is flipping wildly everywhere going into turn number 1. We're going to have to check out the drivers. Wild rides for drivers like the number 87 of Christopher Hurlow, the 20 of Chad Coleman also involved in that. 14, David Comstock, leading winner in the series, getting involved in that mess as well. That's going to give the 96 of Rollo another chance here on another restart.
Here's a look at the replay, and I'm trying to go back and look at this myself, what it looks like as I move back a little further. Nick Silver, actually the car that got turned to start this mess, and I'm playing it frame by frame. Christopher Hurlow got into a mess. Rhett McBride got a piece of it. Chad Coleman got a piece of it. Hurlow went for the wildest ride of all as he got up into the safer barrier and then up into the catch fence for that Performance Motorsports Network machine, coming to rest at the top of turn number 1 and then immediately taking the tow back to the pit lane. So a mess, and we're going to only have about 5 laps to settle it out when we go back racing.
Top 5 on the running order right now, looking like the 50 of Pedro Mojica still out in front of the 96 of Mitch Rollo in second. The 13 of Dwayne Vincent going to restart third. And the 23 of Greg Evans takes advantage of the incident by Corbin Hemstreet, who rides fifth to get around Hemstreet to be in the 4th spot, Jacob. So Evans taking advantage. Can he make a late race charge to the front?
Perhaps. Brian, I'm going to pull an Evan Pasoko liner here on you. I don't know what that was, but wow, did that just happen.
Yeah, I'm really kind of lost on that one too. It looked like Nick Silver just got a little antsy and tried to make something happen that when he really didn't have the room to do it. He was trying to cut down to the inside line and get a couple extra positions going off into the corner, and unfortunately it backfired, and now he's got a lot of damage to get fixed on that car and very little time left to do anything with it. So I doubt you'll see him get back out there or even be able to do anything with the car at this point. That was a huge wreck and took out a lot of really good cars tonight, so unfortunate for all of them. And this really helps Pedro Mojica's cause because it's fewer laps that he's got to worry about these guys having a shot to run him down. We saw that Mitch Rollo and Dwayne Vincent both could keep up with him on the short run, and sometimes they could actually outpace him. So if they had had all the 10 laps that they needed, they might have had a shot at him. But now they're going to have less than 5 when we go back green, and it's going to be a really easy time for Pedro Mojica as they go back green.
Nick Silver just taking responsibility for that one, and unfortunately, what it does is it takes out a lot of good race cars. One good race car, though, at the front of the field. That's Pedro Mojica, who leads the party. Oh, boy. Now we're really getting down to it, Justin.
We sure are. And Rollo going to need to get a much better restart on the outside. And like I noted just there before we went back green, he is capable. He's the only driver to do it all race long. And I wonder if the admins had something to say, because it looked like he really, really laid back on that restart.
Maybe. I don't know. Brian, if you had to choose one from the front row right now, who would it be?
You got to go with Pedro Mojica. He's got the inside line. He gets to control when they go back green and when they take off. So I like that Mitch Rollo was able to do it one time, but I just don't know that he's going to be able to do it twice. That was a real luck thing there when his teammate spun the tires and he was able to get the gas down quicker than him. Pedro Mojica has not had that issue tonight, and the lights are off on the pace car, so when we get back around, we're going to go back green.
1 lap to go here before we fire these cars off. When it next time by, going to be 5 laps to go for a 5-lap dash to the finish. Next flag going to end the race in the field is certainly going to be decided here at the end of the race, with the 50 of Mojica out in front of the 96 Rollo, Vincent in third, Evans in fourth, 69 of Hemstreet in fifth, Marinac in the 24, he rides 6, and these front 6 guys gonna have the best shot at victory here tonight, but it's really gonna be how good of a restart can Rollo get. Jacob Seelman, I think you could take us from the green flag as the field now rolling towards turn 3.
Field rolling towards turn 3, and this is where you need the restart of your life. For one driver, potentially on the front row, it could lead to a trip all the way to victory lane. For another, it may end in heartbreak. We're about to find out as the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car makes the turn onto pit road for the final time tonight. Mojica, Rollo, Vincent, green flag in the air. Rollo doesn't go. Dwayne Vincent does. They head for turn 1. The 13 heads for second.
No room given whatsoever. The 13 of Vincent took the 96 of Rollo up the racetrack. 5 laps to go here in the Dover 180, the Monster Mile 180 that is. And Rollo now back to the inside. Vincent very loose off of turn number 2. This is what Pedro Mojica needs to see as they work off of turn number 4.
Yeah, that's already given him about an 8 car length advantage over the 96 of Mitch Rollo. 0.6 of a second there as Vincent gave up a couple of spots. Greg Evans moves to third, looking for his first podium in quite a while. Vincent, Hemstreet, the top 5, but it's Rollo doing everything he can to chase down Mojica. 3 laps to go when they come to the line.
3 to go as we cross the stripe. Rollo trying to do what he can to close that gap, and that gap was 5/8 the second last time by. Well, it's almost a 10th shorter now, just over a half second as he crossed the stripe that time by. Just going to be 2.5 laps to go as we work on the back straightaway. And nobody in the top 5 really making a move at this point. It's the 21 of Matt Lacrosse now getting around the 24 of Marinac. in turns number 3 and 4. Popsicle sticks in the air. Jacob Seelman, 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go, no change out front. It's still about a half second, though. Rollo is closing. Best battle on the racetrack for 6th between Matt Lacrosse and Stefan Marinac. The 21 and the 24 finally sorted out. This time by coming to the white in turn 3. Rollo trying to close.
Rollo trying to close. He's got about 4 car lengths. White flag in the air right now for Pedro Mojica in the JDR Graphics Toyota. Just needs one more smooth lap and he can put it in Gatorade victory lane. Rollo about 3.5 car lengths in closing, but Mojica starting to extend that gap on the back straightaway.
Down the back straightaway for the final time. It's going to be the 3rd win of the year for driver number 50, and it's going to be his 2nd consecutive. Pull out the firecrackers. You're going back-to-back. Pedro Mojica, a winner at the Monster Mile. He'll take it over Mitch Rollo, Greg Evans, Dwayne Vincent, and Corbin Himstreet, the top 5, followed by Matt Lacrosse in 6th, Stefan Marinac 7th, Thomas George, Eric Brundies, Harrison Weidel. It's the top 10. And for Mojica, 3 wins in 6 races. I gotta ask, Justin Rosenau, are you kidding me?
Could you have started any better in the start of this run, folks? It's very Jeff Ward-esque. He's the 2nd driver to be able to do this to the very best of the best here in real sim racing. Mojica in that JDR Graphics Toyota trying to get the checkered flag for the flagman and going to start to try to burn that thing down on the front stretch. Great win by the driver, that number 50, Pedro Mojica.
So Mojica gets the win, and he's done something in 6 races that it took David Comstock almost half a season to do. He's now tied for the most wins this year with 3. Unbelievable the job that JDR Graphics Toyota has done, and we'll hear from him coming up in just a couple of minutes. It'll be the LSRTV post-race show from Dover International Speedway. This is LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Welcome back to LSRTV and the kickoff of the Garry Mercer Trucking post-race show. Here from Dover International Speedway, Jacob Seelman, Brian Macklin, and Justin Rosenau have been on the call all night long. Brian's already headed down towards pit road, Justin, where you and I are going to join him momentarily. But what a race, what a finish, and what a drive by the 50 for the 3rd time in 6 races.
Mojica, the winner of the Midnight Thunder Championship on Friday nights in the Real Sim Racing Series, driving like a man possessed with his hair on fire, I might add, Jacob. What a job that driver's done in that JDR Graphics Toyota. And like you said, locking up his third win in just his sixth race here in the Full Throttle Cup Series. Great job to the driver, the number 50, Jacob. I cannot say anything more about that driver.
I can't say a whole lot more about him. And, meanwhile, Brian Macklin has climbed down from the broadcast tower. And I believe somewhere along the way, Brian Macklin, you have also caught up with the driver who finished third in this race tonight, Greg Evans. He was real quiet all night.
Yep, your third place finisher driving the number 23 I Can't Designs Chevrolet SS. Greg Evans, third place. You were constantly up towards the top 5 or 10, but you never made a lot of noise. You were really there. Alright, welcome back, guys. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Anyway, we are down here on pit road catching up with the number 23 I Can't Designs Chevrolet SS of Greg Evans, a third place finish. You had a quiet but solid night. You got a top 3 finish. How was your night tonight? Describe how you went through the whole race tonight.
It was really tough. It was kind of a lot of give and take out there. The setup was really loose, so you couldn't really get a run off. You had to pretty much just go where the other guys wasn't and see if you could make it stick. But it was a pretty good night. We just glad to get back in the top 3 and get back up here with you guys.
Yeah, and Dover is one of the most challenging tracks on the schedule, but going ahead to next week, we're going to be making our first right turns of the season when they head to Sonoma. How do you feel about having to go to a road course and challenge that beast next week and on the West Coast?
I actually feel really good about it. We actually went and tested some earlier last week, and I was the fastest out of the guys on my team. I'm not going to say any times or anything, but I feel pretty confident as long as I keep on the track and stay out of trouble there. We'll probably get top 5, at least top 10 at least there.
All right, Greg, and before we let you go here, any shout-outs you want to make, any sponsors you need to plug? Who makes it happen for you here on Monday nights?
Well, I Can't Design, did my paint scheme. I actually own that. Still Horse Racing, the teammates. They always stick behind me there and have my back. Got to thank all those guys. Duct Tape and Sure Tape, International Trucks, IamSecond.com. I think that's it, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Greg. Congratulations on your podium finish. And now we are going to move further down pit road where I believe Justin Rosenau has caught up with your second place finisher.
I'm alongside the driver, the number 96 Chevrolet. That's going to be Mitch Rollo and the Race Chaser Online Chevrolet coming home in a strong second place finish. What Boomtown Sim really needed to get their train rolling again in the Full Throttle Cup Series. And Mitch, tell us about that last gaps there. Did you really miss that restart there, or was it just wheel spin?
Yeah, I just spun the heck out of the tires there on that final restart, and luckily, going through turn 1 and 2, Dwayne, I guess, gassed it up a little too much and got loose out of 2, and I took advantage of it. So, I'm a bit lucky to bring it home P2. I was a top 3 car for sure, but I just wish that that last caution, those last 2 cautions hadn't come out. I was catching the 2 liters there, and I think I might have had something for Pedro if I could get by the 13 there. But I'm super happy with second, man. I'm still shaking. I wish I would have won the thing, but I'll definitely take second.
Well, I hope you sure do take second. It's been really tough sledding for the Boomtown Sim team the last couple weeks. Several of the teammates of yours, and yourself included, being taken out several times in uncharacteristic wrecks for you guys. You want to elaborate on the struggles over the last couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean we've had some struggles in the truck series there. The truck series just was an awful night for us in Chicago. We ended up having, I think, 3 of the 4 trucks DNF or something like that. But we're all a tight knit group at Boomtown, and we came together and we all just wanted to finish the race tonight and do our thing, and we did, and it ended up working out. But just super happy that I could bring that home for my guys. They deserve it. They deserved a top 3 finish from me.
I know you're happy with that, but what's the outlook next week when we go road course racing up in the Winery Hills, up in the California area there, Sonoma? What's the outlook for Boomtown Sim in 1 week?
Oh man, I love Sonoma. I absolutely love that place. I cannot wait till next week, man. It's going to be a ton of fun. I think all the Boomtown guys are pretty good on the road course, so we'll have to see how it goes. But hopefully I can bring home another top 3 next week. That'd be awesome.
Mitch, who's responsible for getting you in and out on the racetrack every single week here in the Full Throttle Cup Series?
Huge thank you to Jared Como tonight. On those last couple of restarts there, he had me hit those restarts perfect, except for he had me hit the last one good too, but I just spun my tires and messed that up. But also got to thank Jacob Seelman, Corbin Himstreet, all the rest of my teammates at Boomtown, as well as Race Chaser Online, Performance Motorsports Network, and Speed 77 Radio. I appreciate you guys putting on these broadcasts.
That's the driver who came in second, driving the Race Chaser Online number 96 Chevrolet, Mitch Rollo and Jacob Seelman. You caught up with tonight's winner, Pedro Mujica, down in Gatorade Victory Lane.
This seems a little familiar, doesn't it? I feel like I was doing this, about a week ago. Down here in Gatorade Victory Lane for the 3rd time in 7 races in 2015. Pedro Mujica, you've done it again, my friend. The car was bullet fast for so much of this run. The pit strategy bit you in the early going. About lap 19, you were way at the back of the lead lap, and you just quietly, solidly, methodically worked your way back to the front just past halfway, got to the lead for the first time all night, and from there, it just looked like you were able to control the pace. Talk about it.
Yeah, Jacob, it was, oh man, I tell you what, that was a heck of a race. That was a really, really tough setup to drive, and you really had to be up on the wheel, but I felt like that kind of fit in my wheelhouse a little bit, especially from the beginning of the iRacing days. But I started the race off there. Didn't get the pole like I would want to, so that kind of gave us a disadvantage on the start of the race, and I wasn't too sure what to expect, so I was very cautious, and so kind of fell back in the 3rd there, 4th, and from there, I just kind of was sizing up my competition, just figuring out who would be good and who would have issues after a long run, and got up to 2nd there after the 2 cautions, and I kind of just followed Jeff Ward blindly around the track, and next thing I know, somebody says, "Hey, wait for the pace car." I look up. By the time it was too late, we had already passed pit entrance, and again, I was just like, man, I can't stop shooting myself in the foot, whether it's strategy or just missing pit road or speeding or what it is. But luckily, it was so early in the race that we had plenty of time, and I knew, like, okay, we have 18 laps. Let's use 4 tires. I didn't think as many people would have stayed out, but I knew how good the car was, and I knew my driving capability, so I knew I could get back up to the front. We just needed some long green flag runs, and luckily, we had 1 quick caution, getting a few spots there, and then we had that long green flag run. I was able to, I think I restarted 22nd and got all the way back into the top 5 before the next caution came out, which I was really happy that I was able to get back up there and kind of reset from there. And once I got there, it was full bore ahead. I knew that I needed to get out front as quick as possible, because I've been kind of learning with how the new build's going with iRacing, that track position is really key. Like, it's really, really important. It seems to be, if everybody's running about the same pace, you seem to kind of run into a bubble, as I like to call it, about 2 to 4 tenths behind somebody, and you start getting tight or loose depending on what you're doing with your driving in the corner. So got out front and just pretty much just held on, made sure, told the pit guys, hey, we need to nail these pit stops every time we come in and get out in the lead. And there was one time there they got me out in the lead from coming in 2nd out to the lead, and that really won us the race. we were able to stay out front from there on out and just hold everybody off. So I mean, it's awesome. It feels good to dominate the last half of the race. That's what we've been looking for since we first started this league and this segment.
You get the lead, get the win late, but more importantly, you had a hard-charging Mitch Rollo in the final stages trying to get to you. You held him off, but how was the battle there in the closing laps on so many different restarts, knowing how hungry he was right there with you?
I just knew that, knowing him being hungry, and he was fast. He was really fast. So he figured it out there, and so did Dwayne Vincent. And I knew that restarts were key. Like, I really had to get a good restart and kind of get a good restart for me, but kind of get them in a spot where I knew, okay, these guys will probably have more wheel spin here than in this part of the track. So kind of had to play strategy in the fact that, okay, there's a chance where I could get a lot of wheel spin here, but everybody else probably will too. So I'll have more time to, by the time I catch it, they'll just be experiencing and I could pull away. So just really had to think about, where you wanted to restart, and every inch of the track off of 4, it's pretty much you can really hurt yourself or really, hurt the rest of the field depending on where you started. So you just try to do your best, restart in the right area. And we were able to do that. Luckily, we didn't have any issue like last week where we spun the tires bad enough to where everybody caught back up. So really glad that we learned from that last weekend. Kept an eye on some of the restarts early in the race to see where people were restarting and just incorporated that to the end of the race. So I was able to hold off Mr. Rollo and Mr. Vincent.
Pedro, you get the win. It's your third of the season. All of a sudden, you've not even run half the schedule this year, and you've got as many wins as the winningest driver all year does, David Comstock. I know I asked you this a week ago, but I'll ask you again. Did you even imagine, coming off the Midnight Thunder Truck Championship, that your team, We Dem Boys, that you guys would have this much success this soon, and especially your individual team? You've been on fire.
Coming from Midnight Thunder, I knew I could get plenty of wins in the league. The biggest thing was just figuring out how the strategy works in this league, and really, it really reminds me of when I used to race in the Peak Antifreeze series, well, now known as Peak Antifreeze series, when I ran back in 2011 and 2012. Everybody was pretty much the same speed, and it just came down to strategy and track position, and that's kind of the same philosophy here in this league. And Talladega was Talladega, super speedway. Teammates helped out a lot, but we were able to get top 10 runs at Charlotte and Pocono. But the biggest thing I learned there was track position's king. If you don't have it, it's going to be really hard to win the race. You could get a top 10, but a lot of those guys, they run about the same speed as I do, or vice versa. And, it comes down to who gets in the right spot on a restart a lot of times. And so once, I think those two races really helped me figure out what points of the race, would be the last time I need to pit. And I've incorporated that into Michigan, and I incorporated that today, and tonight, and that's really helped. And I have confidence in what I can do behind the wheel, and I knew just having to merge the strategy and my confidence and my skill together, that I knew I could pull out wins. And so just combining all that together, we were able to get these 3 wins in 7 races, which is pretty amazing.
Well, I know it's not possible by yourself, Pedro. Who makes it happen for you in the 50 crew?
Again, I have to thank JD Laird. He came in. He was kind of doing his own thing for a little bit, but he came in and he helped kind of just verify the strategy. We really did really good today communicating what we wanted to do with staying out or pitting. Again, thank him for his JDR graphics scheme. That scheme is a very awesome looking scheme, and I'm proud to wheel it around the tracks and go win races with it. And then everybody from We Them Boys, Chad and Paul, who pays the bills. They're a great set of teammates, and they also help out in some of the strategy calls. And we try to do the best to help each other out to get the best finish we can. And I'm glad that I can get another win for the owner, Paul, and represent the team well. The boys on Swan, TeamSpeak, those guys are always fun to hang out with, so just give them a shout out. Always got to say thank you to the wife and the family, especially the wife for letting me come on here. Wouldn't be possible without her. And Lord, forgive me the strength to be here today to race with you guys. And LSRTV, again, thanks for what you guys do. And RSR, even though we had a little bit of a bump today, I feel like there was a lot better calls with people causing accidents. Everybody kind of came out and said, "Hey, I caused the accident." I think the series is definitely going in the right direction with the incident point system. So, thank you, everybody.
Pedro Mojica, a winner at the Monster Mile. He holds the Miles the Monster trophy at the end of 180 miles tonight.
Yeah, baby!
Justin Rosenau, final results. It's all you, my friend.
Pedro Mojica in the 50 car takes home the victory with the 96 of Mitch Rollo on the middle step of the podium in the 96, and Greg Evans rounds out your top three. In the 23 and the 13 of Dwayne Vincent in the 4th spot, along with the 69 of 5th, and the 21 of Matt Lacrosse in 6th. 7th goes to the 24 of Marinac, the 1 of Thomas George in 8th. 94, Eric Brundies comes home 9th. Harrison Whittlitz comes home in the 10th spot, driving the 16 tonight in the 11th spot. Jeff Ward in the 89. 42, Scott Stenzel in 12th. 44, Glenn Campbell in 13th. 36 to Rich Jett in 14th. 15th goes to the 22 of William Kemp. 5 of Dan Murray in 16th. 29, Brendan Mercer 17th. 15, Scott Simley 18th. 53, Nicholas Cohan in 19th. 20th belonging to the 2 of Rhett McBride.
In the 21st position is Nick Silver, 22nd, Doug Roth, David Comstock, 23rd, Chad Coleman, 24th, and Christopher Hurlow, 25th. All of those guys were caught up in the late crash that took out half the field. In the 26th position was Kevin Linden. 27th was Steve Gottschalk. Anthony DeBarro was 28th. Sean Casto was 29th, and Brandon Peterson was 30th. 31st was Paul Nicholas Cooper. 32nd was Jimmy North. Adam Benefield, subbing for Jonathan Cadell, was 33rd. And then all out of the race as well, David Lanza, 34th, Jason Lester, 35th, Jose Gonzalez, 36th, and David Camara, shotgun of the field, 37th. Justin?
Yeah, and I'm going to start off our final thoughts for the evening by mentioning this. RCO Boomtown really needed a strong race, and at times during the race they almost looked invincible, but you can't really count out somebody who's been driving, just like we've seen the 89 of Jeff Ward do for week in and week out for several weeks now in the Real Sim Racing Series, and that's the 50 of Pedro Mojica, claiming his 3rd win in 7 races now in the Full Throttle Cup Series. And Brian, I can't think of anything stronger that I've seen from anybody, especially breaking into a series like this.
Yeah, well, we talk about Pedro Mojica as being a rookie, but he's only a rookie to this series. Pedro Mojica's been around for a long time, and he's a really, really strong driver, and it doesn't surprise me at all that he's come in and been strong like this right out of the gate. I want to talk about Dwayne Vincent, yet another top 5 finish, and this guy, he is just absolutely incredible with his consistency. He's the points leader, obviously still no wins, and he wants one so desperately bad, and eventually it's going to happen. You don't finish top 5 this many times and this consistently as he does without eventually getting a lucky break and going to victory lane. And who knows, next week when they turn right and go to Sonoma, that might be his chance.
I know he's hoping that may be his chance, gentlemen. And from down here in Gatorade Victory Lane for the final time, the celebration's still going on behind me. But on behalf of everybody at LSR TV and RSR, for Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin, John Abbott, Brennan Mercer, and all the boys at Real Sim Racing, and our executive producer, Laura Lawson, from Dover International Speedway, I'm Jacob Zielman, reminding you race fans to keep it off the wall until we meet again. We'll see you next time on the web. From the Monster Mile, congratulations to Pedro Mojica, your winner of the Monster Mile 180, benefiting Autism Speaks. So long and good night.